afternoon, good evening, everyone, and thank you for watching Uganda Crossroads. My name is Alex, your host with the mostest. I have been on a little hiatus, if you may call it that, or a little mini vacation. For all of you who have seen me in Uganda, it was a pleasure to, come back to the motherland and see you and talk to you guys and actually be a part of what you guys were doing. I've talked to so many people over the last few weeks, but now I have to, grave the whole cold weather and come back to Boston, and it's good to be back. It's cold as always, so you see me all dressed up in this. It's cold as always, but it's good to be back, and I'm happy that I'm back again on Uganda Crossroads. I want to take a moment to thank my co-producer who actually, stepped in and took over the show. A few episodes you guys have seen David around. David Lubu has been the one co-producing and co-hosting Uganda Crossroads. So I want to take a minute and just thank him for, standing in when I wasn't there and keeping the show going and keeping you guys entertained and informed. And, you've been loving on him, sharing the page and loving on Uganda Crossroads, and let's keep going in that same spirit. All right, so you guys have seen the newspapers, you've seen the headlines, we're going to talk about people who are making the news in Uganda. As the name says, Uganda Crossroads. We're going to talk about all those little things that have happened in the last few weeks, in the last few days, that have had us saying what's going on, how, and all these things that we want to take a part of, want to be a part of, and you want to see how you can create change, and you want to see how we can see what we can do to just do something. So those are topics that have been gripping our minds, gripping our intellect. We want to find out what is really the big story behind all this. And today, we don't have Sarah Bakanansa. She's not feeling well, but she's under the weather. But we'll have her again next weekend. But for that, I want to just take a minute to give a chance to all the two guys who are going to be talking and, informing you guys of what's happening. I'm going to give them a chance to introduce themselves, and then we can continue on with the show. So Hillary, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? I'm sitting honored and humbled to be back on this wonderful talk show, Uganda at Crossroads. To our dear viewers, we thank you so much for sacrificing your time to be with us always on each and every Saturday. Those who are sacrificing your OTT back home in Uganda, you're doing a great job to ensure that you join our conversation. And we talk about different ways on how we can liberate our country from a dictator who has been in office or in power for 33 years. So we believe in hope, and we believe that it's now that we as young leaders, we can change events in our country to have a better country.
All right. And we have a new face on the show, so just give us a second to introduce yourself and talk to us about who you are, where you come from, and in what capacity you'll be speaking to us.
Hi everybody, my name is Imran Kasuja. I'm really honored to be here. It's my first time. It's really an extraordinary opportunity. I'm here as a patriotic Ugandan who has a history of serving my country. I'm at both the local level and national level. I've been Speaker of Uganda National Students Association. That was 2017. I've ever served as Guild Speaker of the greatest institution on the African continent, Makerere University. I'll be glad to discuss and share my mind with our viewers tonight. Thank you.
All right, guys, let's jump right in. So beginning of this week or midweek, as you guys have been reading the newspapers, you've been reading Monitor, you've been online, Googling Uganda and whatever keeps happening, Uganda cannot seem to get themselves out of the news. Like they're trending everywhere. I know we've been making noise every single time, every year. We have something happening, something tremendous that blows us out of the water. But these last few days have been Uganda keeps exceeding its own limits. That's what I'm going to say. Uganda keeps exceeding its own limits. So let's start off with NBS journalist Solomon Simwanje, if I'm saying that right, and some BBC journalists were arrested earlier on this week because apparently they were doing an investigative story about drugs that were being stolen or misused or something along those lines. So I'm going to refer to this gentleman this gentleman to my right because they seem to be a little more knowledgeable about what is happening in Uganda. And me as a normal, ordinary Ugandan who is not sure what's going on, I'm going to convert to them and ask them to tell me what's going on. So Hillary, I'm going to start with you because this is something that you have been keeping your eyes on. Walk me through what happened, what is being suspected, what are the results, what's the outcome, who's to blame, what's going on, and what should we be looking out for? Because I need to know. It was a story that I had to call my mom up when she was in her job, and I'm like, so what happened? So why were they there? explain to me, but my mom was like, now you know if you have a Uganda, which doesn't say anything to me. I don't understand. So walk me through what happened earlier on with an NBS journalist and the BBC journalist.
Yes, this is a very sensitive issue because when it comes to health, we've seen that very many Ugandans are dying simply because there are no medicines in health centers or hospitals.
That's true.
So this journalist of NBS TV, Solomon Seranj, yes, he was arrested together with some people from BBC Africa because they were carrying out an investigative report about the medicines being stolen from different health facilities. For very many years, we've heard that medicines are not, in hospitals. And also the National Medical Stores has been making reports that there are some government officials who have been selling our medicines or drugs in black markets. So here comes a journalist. He works, because Solomon Seranj, by the way, is a very influential journalist. He's one of the most intelligent young journalists we have in our country today. Just last year, the United Nations chose him as one of a few young journalists all over the world to cover the United Nations General Assembly. So he was working with the office of the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres. So you see that his exposure, the way he carries out his work is really an A-plus journalist that we have today. But again, there was something that also was confusing to me because, first of all, he was telling us that his wife works as the peer of the Ministry of Health. So this is crazy. Your wife is working as the public relations officer in the Ministry of Health, and you are a journalist, and you are investigating in the ministry where your wife works. So
it's a conflict of interest.
For me, somehow, somewhere, I think there was also a conflict of interest because, first of all, the journalist, he denies that the wife knew nothing about his investigation. As Hillary, I totally don't believe that the wife knew nothing about it. I believe they were, working hand in hand with the BBC team. And again, as journalists, because they've been carrying, crying each and every year that the government is oppressing their rights. There is no freedom of press. They're always calling upon the government to free the press because this is not the first incident whereby we've seen this authoritative regime of Mr. Museveni oppressing the journalists because they are doing their work. So if you are saying that your government is there to fight corruption, why can't you back up this journalist? Other than, raiding his house and also arrest the woman, the wife. So on
what grounds were they arrested? What grounds did police say that were
arrested? Well, of course, the spokesperson of police, Enanga, was saying that they found some medicines in Solomon's house. So they were saying that maybe something crafty was going on. And again, you see, I don't know, there's something wrong because nowadays even our investigative journalists have lost the skills of carrying out such projects. Because again, if you know Ghana, there is this very famous journalist in Ghana called Anas Arenayawe. The guy has done a lot of investigations, mainly in the Soccer Federation of Ghana, and he saved millions and millions of Ghanaian, money. But our journalists who are doing investigations, I think they need to get new skills of how to carry out these investigations. Don't go with very big cameras. Now, like BBC, you've been doing investigative journalism. You know that you have to go with, nowadays they use very sophisticated technology. Go with micro cameras. Go with a watch that has a camera. Then carry out this investigation. Other than carrying a very big camera,
is that what the case
and the police is seeing you, it's very easy for the police to notice that these guys are doing something that is not good. Because first of all, they're going to expose the big government officials. And the government wants to fight that because they don't want to make news at the end of the day. Because very many health institutions have been pouring lots of monies in our country. Look at an institution like the World Health Organization. They pour millions and millions in our country to ensure that they fight malaria, they fight HIV/AIDS. But today our mothers and sisters or brothers, they go to these hospitals. There are no ARVs. So how are they going to survive? So the motive was good. They want to carry out a report, then they give us the picture. But again, as journalists, they have to line behind Solomon and the group of the BBC to fight, to ensure that they fight for their rights, other than leaving them to fight alone? Because today, as you see in Uganda, everyone is crying. It's called Power Talikaba. So each and every sector is crying. For the journalists, they have to unite. And even it's the time to see the opposition that has been using these journalists to come on board and they fight for the freedom of press. We can't have a government that censors the media each and every time, and we think that we're going to get fair news. So this government has something wrong, and as Ugandans, that's why we say rise up and fight the government of Mr. Museveni. Otherwise, we are, I don't know, there is something wrong.
Mr. Imran, do you have anything to add on to this topic? Because I have a few questions that I want to just put in there. So I'm going to just wait for you to hear your input on what you think might have happened or what they could have done better.
Yeah, I mean, I've had my colleague discuss almost everything, but I just want to point out a few things. The regime, the Museveni regime and NBS, they are really at loggerheads. At one point, Mr. Museveni was holding a press conference, and an NBS journalist stood up to ask him, and then
Joseph Sabiti.
Yeah, Sabiti, thank you. Sabiti was asking a question, then Museveni is like, NBS, you should watch out. Then Sabiti, very courageous, he told Museveni, Mr. Museveni, that why? Then Mr. Museveni is like, you're not royal. Then Mr. Sabiti is like, we are royal to Ugandans. And from that day, Mr. Sabiti's pass to the State House was
taken down, everything was recalled and everything.
Instantly. So, the way the regime is handling journalism, journalists, I mean, it's obvious they'll use the police to do whatever they want to do, because even...
From what you're saying, do you think the police itself or the government itself, as you're trying to say, do you think because they might have got a tip that it's specifically NBS, do you think other television stations who might have done the same investigative story would have gotten the same backlash, or how this is going on?
Yeah.
You think or do you think it's specifically NBS right now that's being targeted?
No, it's not really NBS only. It's the entire media. For as long as you're most likely going to broadcast something that exposes the regime, they'll definitely censor it, either at that level using the police or at the level of UCC. I mean, that's what dictators do, even here in the United States. President Trump thinks CNN, they are enemies of the people because they report things the way they are. So with Museveni, for as long as you're going to report things the way they are, you don't have space.
So we are getting a lot of informed critique from these two gentlemen. But if you're watching us online, I invite you to just tell us your point of view, or give us the advice or comments or whatever you might have had. Share it on the page. I'll read it out loud for you, and we can continue on and continue this conversation going. Interact with us while we interact with you. Right now, the opinions that are being said by these two gentlemen do not represent the opinions of Uganda Crossroads or the Campfire Talk Show or Life MTV per se, but the opinions of fellow individuals who have something to say or have something they want to put out there to show that they are really putting their foot forward in making sure that Uganda goes forward. So with that being said, I want to thank all those guys who are online, who are tuning in to share this page with us, who are loving on the show. I do have David Dua, who's our producer, is also behind the camera, is tuning in. Andrew Rubega, you're saying good spirit brothers and sisters. Kaka Delinja, you're saying hello everyone. We do have Choli King saying Dictator Museveni has turned our beloved country Uganda into a comedy show, and you're putting in some emojis over there. Kathy Tendo is putting in some strong words saying the hunter is being hunted, like really putting those in power on the right path. We also have Ellen Prezo saying, hello Alex Nakados, thank you, welcome back. Ellen Prezo, it's always good to see you and hear from you, thank you. And then we also have Kathy Tendo is also saying, that's it, the whole country is in jeopardy. So guys, keep sharing the page, keep loving on us and just letting us know what you guys think of the show and anything we can do better. Also just keep talking to us in regards to all these topics that we're going to carry on and talk about in the show. So I want to just finish this up. What do you see happening within the next few days in regards to the whole situation of the BBC journalists They themselves, what do you see happening in the next few days in regards to this whole case? Do you see it blowing wider than it could have been? Do you see it being hushed out of the public eye? What do you see happening in the next few weeks?
Well, personally, I believe that BBC is going to put more pressure on this government of Mr. Museveni, because their journalists are engaged among the people who are arrested. So as the government, of course, you're going to see very many contradictions in their statements, because they will be denying responsibilities. So everyone will be saying, every government official will be saying, I'm not liable for the arrest of the BBC journalists. And again, my brother Emerald was talking about the U.S. government, the way it attacks all media houses like CNN with the Trump administration. And this issue of Museveni attacking the journalists who are carrying out some of the most corrupt scandals in our country. It reminds me the Watergate scandal in the U.S. history during the era of President Nixon. Yep. Was also doing the same thing, because he didn't want to show, he didn't want the public to know the dirty games that were happening in his administration. But as journalists, because they have an umbrella that brings them together as as journalists. But again, you see that it's not active. So and the president of the journalist umbrella is also in that media house of NBS. Where their journalist was arrested. And you see that they can do one thing. They can, unite, stand in solidarity with their fellow journalists and boycott all the events of this government of Mr. Museveni. Let them say, we are not covering any government event. Not until you respect the rights of the press. Not until you free the rights of the press.
You're asking for all media houses or just NBS in particular?
NBS and other media houses. Because right now, they have an umbrella.
Because it's a power of competition.
They're fighting for their rights.
Okay.
So as journalists, because you have rights. And if someone is oppressing your rights in today's generation, then you have to stand in solidarity. You see today what happened, recently what happened in the US when the Trump administration, canceled the access permit of CNN's journalist, Jimmy Acosta. All the media houses stood in solidarity with Jimmy Acosta. Including Fox News that, is pro-Trump. They said, no, we second Jimmy Acosta. You can't oppress his rights like that as a journalist. So we are behind him, and Jimmy Acosta won the case in the court, and they had to release his pass to the White House. So as journalists in Uganda, other than sleeping, they have to learn from these events. Because nowadays things on social media,
Ugandans are hungry.
Yes,
people are hungry.
Ugandans are
people
hungry.
have media houses everywhere.
As our journalists here today, they have to be bold.
Bold and starved. That's the case in Uganda. You're going to be bold and starved.
If you say, as NBS, we are not covering today's speech of Mr. Museveni, the president,
who do you think
he will feel the pain, because Museveni wants attention. He wants to be showcased, to be shown before the population of Uganda. So if you say we're talking
about a regime that has been rumored to have shut down the power when a certain speech was going on, right? That's the same. So you're telling you're telling me that once maybe say NBS decides to be, go on mutiny and say let's not cover any.
Because once they keep silent, they are setting a precedent for themselves. Because the government will be saying, whenever we oppress them, they are silent, though we can go ahead with our actions. But again, once they start acting now, and they say we are standing in solidarity, we are not covering any government event. Let it be the Ministry of Lands, the Ministry of Tourism, because today you see tourism is on market. Let them say we're covering Rwanda in his tourism ministry. Let them say we're covering the Ministry of Education, we're covering the events of State House.
Do you see NBS? Do you see NBS?
Time of the media.
But do you see NBS doing something like that? Because again, at the end of the day, any television station makes money off the content they air. If politics is right now the biggest issue, the biggest topic, the biggest money maker, do you think they're going to make a move like that? Do you think they'll call moves for other TV stations to actually pull something like that? Because political-wise, people in diaspora tune into NBS to see what happened, to see what Tamara Mirundi said, to see what political ambassador said what, to see something. Politics is literally running the show right now. Apart from, putting on celebrities and other shows, political shows are literally what people tune in to see. Do you see other media channels calling in to actually do something like that? Do you see that happening?
And you see, NBS is conscious about the fate of the LBS. The LBS had issues with the government about 15 years ago. The only television in Uganda was the LBS. But when Wavamuno and the administration started getting issues with UCC, the fate, we all know what happened apparently. So really, I agree with you.
Yeah.
We are talking about a regime that can do anything.
True. I think it's right. America media they literally can do whatever because they have that support. They can boycott a president and something happens. This is Africa. This is third world country. So it is a valid point. We can do it, but it's Uganda right now. People are hungry.
Institutions are not operational.
I would disagree with both of you because where you're going wrong is that ask yourselves the question: when is the right time? So can we wait for 2086 for the media of Uganda to start acting?
I think it would be the right time when the regime
This is the actual time whereby we can say that now journalists are saying enough is enough. We are tired of oppressing the media each and every time. We are standing in solidarity as media houses.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But that's a move that you want to do when you've really calculated it.
Yep. When you have the backup, you know the backup will be there.
You know the regime you're dealing with.
You see,
you know the regime you're dealing with. You don't have court. I mean, the CNN example was really very good. But CNN going to the courts of law in the United States when they have a guarantee that the systems actually work.
The systems work.
But where will NBS go?
It will die a very, very bad death.
Here's the case. So the media houses, they have to embrace the words of Bobby Wine. Bobby Wine is always telling us, but the journalists are sleeping. The journalists who are covering the events, the speeches of Bobby Wine, they can't take notes from the words of Bobby Wine. Bobby Wine tells us he's talking about also the journalists. It's not telling we, the common Ugandans. He's talking to the lawyers, he's talking to the garbage collectors, he's talking to the teachers, he's talking to the professors, to each and every one different professions. So if journalists think their job is just to cover Bobby Wine giving speeches and they go back in their studios and they air out what he said, that's wrong. They have to take notes. The guy is saying, so as media houses, if the government is oppressing your rights, act now. Don't wait for anyone to fight for you. So if they can't fight for themselves, who is going to fight for their rights? Nobody, because one, they have the platform. They have the advantage of spreading information as fast as possible. They have a big number of followers on their social media accounts, on Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn. So they can easily put pressure on this government. We know the government can close some of these media houses, like the way they closed up CBS. But again, our Radio Akaboz and Radio 1. But again, because of the pressure that was put to the government by the people, the government had to listen to the voices of the people and they reopened these radio stations. So it's the same thing when it comes to the press, to the rights of journalists. Right. Let them stand in solidarity. Let them give a test to this government.
All right.
Like for a week, this is an issue of prioritizing your rights over money. Because if you say it's the airtime that or the money or commercials that sustain these companies, but at the end of the day, how are you going to look at money when your rights are being oppressed? How are you going to look at money when journalists are being broken each and every day? How are you going to look at money when very many journalists are being forced into exile? So there is no way, unless these journalists act and they put pressure on this government, they are going to continue saying such things, and the government will think they've set a precedent. They can easily violate the rights of journalists, which is wrong.
You see, maybe one more thing. What's happening in Uganda, not simply today, but with the course of time, Mr. Museveni has really been successful in manipulating all the institutions, of course, through parliament. Now when we talk about journalism in Uganda, they have the act, that UCC Act. You'll find themselves limited to almost everything through that act. So the government is doing everything legitimately. by the book, because Parliament sat, they passed an act of Parliament. So as you're registering your media house, you'll have to follow the current act, the UCC Act. So if
let me ask you something. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Which
In
act
regards,
did this journalist of BBC or NBS
in regards
break?
to what is happening right now, UCC is the next body that has to govern this, all these journalists. It's a supervisor, right?
The immediate
What
supervisor.
did they do in order to counter the situation that happened? What are they presenting to government when they go and say, hey, this is our case, we're defending this person? What is their argument? And are they defending, are they for what has happened? Walk me through what they're doing and how the government is influencing them.
UCC is part of the state. The police is part of the state. So the police went into arresting of those journalists with the consent of UCC. And when you go to court, I'm a law student. Interpretation of, if I'm a judge, I mean if I'm to read the law the way it goes, the police was right, because police first sought permission from UCC. The immediate supervisor of the media house, NBS.
So NBS investigators and BBC investigators were in the wrong, correct?
Maybe
according to the laws of Uganda.
Our comrade Emrad, tell us what law did these journalists break? Or what act of UCC did these journalists break?
You see,
because first of all, you say, the new procedure of the Uganda police, they say that if you are coming to arrest me in my house, you have to first present your ID and your warrant of arrest. But when they arrested the wife of Solomon Seranji, they never presented any of those things.
But if
you take someone's wife, you leave two innocent young kids in the house.
You know,
what kind of ruthless police is this? Where is the professionalism in our government?
Give the man a chance to answer.
The police of Uganda can do anything, you know that. But you know the act that, the article that establishes Uganda police in the constitution gives them powers to arrest somebody because they think they are most likely going to commit a crime.
Which crime did they commit?
They're in suspicion of that person committing a crime.
The article says police has rights to arrest you, because if I'm a policeman and I think you might commit a crime, I mean you've not committed it, but I think you might, I have powers to arrest you, to take you to custody.
My brother is mixing apples and oranges here. You see, now, if as the Uganda police, because they gave us new procedures, if I'm coming to arrest you, I'm going to show you my ID. Definitely. That's number one thing. Then I'm going to tell you, I'm going to issue also the warrant, the warranty, the arrest warranty.
You see,
that now,
you see, Hillary.
What you failed to tell us? What you failed to tell us?
We are going back and forth.
What you failed to tell us? What you failed to tell us?
The police of the United States, whereby I have to present a warrant of arrest.
You see, look at the former PRE. If you look at the former spokesperson of police, Emilian Kaima, he came out with very clear, procedures of arresting someone.
Absolutely.
Yes. So Enanga should come out and tell us, because I listened to Enanga. For him, was giving something different. So, because what we want to know at what act of UCC did these journalists break? Because other than doing such uncouth things or that are not professional in our police, I was expecting the State House Anti-Corruption Unit led by Edith Nakalema to come and give a backup to these journalists, because they are investigating something very sensitive, something that is going to save billions and billions of monies to our nation. But if Edith Nakalema, the anti-corruption leader, is silent about this thing, then it shows you there is no political will to fight corruption in our country. If the president of Uganda is telling us that he's willing to fight corruption each and every day in our country, and is arresting journalists for doing their work to investigate those who are stealing medicines in our country,
the story just broke 2 days ago. So let's give it time and see how it is.
But as a leader who's prioritizing corruption to be fought in your country, you have to come very fast and give positions.
If you talk about time, I guarantee you this will not be news in 1 or 2 weeks. Mr. Museveni has been successful in coming up with so many diversions.
Exactly.
So this will not be news in 1 or 2 weeks.
All right, so let me take a chance of reading. For everyone tuning in, thank you so much for tuning into the Uganda at Crossroads. This is a show, just focused on bringing you, what do they call it? Informed discussions, from people who have an opinion or people who have something to say, or people who want to just highlight what's going on to the rest of you guys. I am on this show because I'm an ordinary individual in Uganda who wants to take part, to learn what's happening, and to actually do some good in Uganda. But I don't understand the intricacies of how Uganda operates. Hence why we have Uganda at Crossroads. Just, it's meant to showcase, educate, and just inform. On that note, please share the page, love on it, like the page as well, and also continue to follow us on Facebook. We always air every Saturday on Live MTV Live on Facebook. I want to take a moment to just recognize the people who are here. Agaba Francis is saying media in Uganda works only for opposition. Frederick Kanakuria is saying Hillary 100% right to him. Kathy Tender saying this is a story that was being brought to light by the media, so there's no wrongdoing. And then Nagaba continues to say our media is so political to the extent that they are always in alliance with government oppositions, to the extent that even rallies of the president are not fully covered, but for BSJ it's automatic. So Shakira bint Sebagara is saying dictatorship naturally arises out of democracy, and the most aggravated form of tyranny and slavery out of the most extreme liberty. I want to thank Precious Winnie Nagami for watching. Sarah Rukwago McDonald, you're here, and Richard Kadure. Please continue to share the page. This story is not going to end today, but let's continue on with other topics that I wanted to touch on. So earlier on this week, we did see President Museveni reaching out to the Kabaka of Buganda, and money was exchanged, money was talked about. There was promise to give back all that was taken away from Buganda in the earlier on, parts of the year, the earlier years in Uganda. So we want to discuss more about what really happened. And I want to start with Imran because, Hillary has kicked us off on the topic before. I'm going to start with Imran, and I'm going to have his informed insight into what's happening. You guys online, you are allowed to just present your case, talk to us, tell us, interact with us. If you know what's going on, if you know what's happening in real time in Uganda right now, what's being said, all those whispers, all those rumors, share them with us and I will read them out and we can continue in this conversation. So Imran, walk me through what happened with the meeting between President Museveni and the Kabaka of Buganda.
So Mr. Museveni, a very proud man.
Why do you have to ask?
Yeah, let me make my point. Mr. Museveni, a very proud man, puts on his shoes and drives to Banda. I mean, Museveni can never stand up for you. I mean, he's like, okay, let me go visit because I need to talk to Hillary, so let me go to Hillary's place. Then if Museveni really does that, then he really has something he has come for.
Calculated properly.
So when Museveni indeed had to travel to Banda, I mean, the Kabaka has been meeting President Museveni, and Kabaka was going to State House. But because Museveni needed something in this trip with the Kabaka, this is a fact. In Uganda, the most influential tribe, it's the Buganda tribe. And of course, it's because they are the majority. And Kampala, the capital of Uganda, is in Buganda. So not at any point in time should a president in Uganda distance himself from the Buganda kingdom. So Mr. Museveni meets with the Buganda kingdom, of course, the Kabaka and the Katikiro, and he promises to give back what the central government owes the government of Buganda, starting with the next financial year and the following financial year. All the miles, all the acreages of land that were taken away by the central government, I mean by the setting of the British, before the British left, the Museveni regime promises to give them back to the Buganda government. But what is my take on that? Mr. Museveni wants to create rapport with the Kabaka of Buganda. Of course, that's with the Baganda, and not to lose touch. I mean, in Central, let's Kampala and Wakiso, they are the districts that have the biggest population in the country. In 2016, we all know what happened into the 2016 elections. I mean, Museveni lost those 2 districts in that he had to play a delay tactic of, at my polling station, in Kampala, Lubaga, that's where I vote from, but we started voting at 4 p.m. because the regime knew they had no votes there. So Mr. Museveni is trying to create and build rapport between the Buganda kingdom and his regime because, of course, he has bigger plans of being president for life.
So, Hillary, I've heard what you've said, and I think that's what has been going on in the news lately because everyone has been talking about it. So many political shows in Uganda, be it on podcasts, radios, TVs, have been saying the same exact thing what he's saying, you know, in different ways, more vocally than what he has been polite about it. But they're saying that he's trying to buy votes away, because once you influence, once you're on good terms with the Kabaka, you're on good terms with the people. That's, I think, the major understanding of what he wants to do. So do you think there is a chance that Ugandans will be influenced in any way to, you know, side with him, or, you know, say, oh my God, we got what we wanted, we got our land back, we got our things, I think Museveni is for us. Do you see that happening in the next few, when the election time has come, or do you see people taking advice that I don't know if it was Bobby Wine who told them, I think someone, a supporter of People Power, or maybe Bobby Wine himself, was like, whatever happens, you eat. Yeah, and then you do whatever is right. So do you think people are going to take
the dynamics of the politics in Uganda is changing each and every day. And you see, now Ugandans have learned Mr. Museveni. Since 1986, Museveni has been a great liar, and is always a great liar. That's why the first lie he gave us, it was in 1986, on the date he won the rebels. He defeated the government, because for him, Mr. Museveni won the guerrilla war on 25th of January, 1986. But he lied to Ugandans that he won on 26th of January 1986. That's a lie. Museveni didn't want to have the same winning days with Idi Amin Dada, because also when Amin defeated Obote I in 1971, it was on January 1971, 25th. So Museveni said, I can't have the same dates with Idi Amin Dada. So he resorted to 26th of January. So that's why they celebrate NRM Day each and every year, 26th of January. That's the first lie Mr. Museveni gave to Ugandans. Then he came to 10-point programs. He's no longer doing anything that is related to 10-point programs. He has been lying the Buganda kingdom for years and years. People are saying that you have what they call a biafe. Why don't you give them their things for once and for all? We know you've given them the things and they're demanding nothing. So now Museveni wants the kingdom to be, begging him each and every time, and he's promising them lies. Today he tells you that we are going to give them 23 billion Ugandan shillings. But where is he going to remove the money? We're financially constrained as a nation. We don't have money in our national treasury. Yes, our debt has hit 11.6 trillion. So where is he going to get the 23 billion? Is he going to write supplementary budgets to the parliament and they approve that? Is he going to run to China to get 23 billion to give it to one kingdom? Why can't he go to other regions? The Bateso are crying. The king of the Bateso, Emory Muriosubani, is waiting for the guy. Where is he? Is he going to promise him also some money? Is he going to the Chabazinga, the king of Busoga, and he also gives another promise? For how long are we going to look at this cheap politics of money? This is Mr. Museveni. And for the Kabaka, you see, Buganda is a big kingdom. Buganda comprises of very many tribes. So is the king of Banyankole, Bacholi, Basoga, Barugwara, each and every tribe. That's the composition of Buganda. So Buganda is not all about Baganda, no. So it comprises of very many tribes. So as the king of Uganda, when you are meeting dictator General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, are you issuing out the problems of your people in your kingdom? Because by the time they met in Chireka, Buganda has the highest rates of youth unemployment in our country. By the time they met in Chireka, Buganda has the highest rates of mothers dying each and every day while giving birth. By the time they met in Chireka, Buganda also has the highest number of youth who have been manipulated and tokenized by this government of Mr. Museveni. As they met in Chireka, Buganda has the highest rates of human rights atrocities being committed to its people. But the kingdom is not talking about such issues. Buganda has the highest rates of land grabbing in the entire Uganda. But the king is not addressing such issues. There is something wrong with the Uganda kingdom. And as Uganda, we should stop looking at kingdoms to think that they are going to change our lives or give us better livelihoods. Because the kings are also looking for their own, they are minding about their own interests. Because if the kingdom is demanding for 23 billion for land titles, yet its people are suffering. They are living in extreme poverty. They are living with high rates of unemployment. And the king can't talk to the president while they meet about such key issues. Then we are ashamed of this kingdom of Uganda. And Ugandans are now awake. We can no longer be driven by the politics of kingdoms. Because Museveni will brag around that, yes, it's me who brought back the kingdoms since Obote had abolished these kingdoms. Yes, we know Museveni brought them back. But again, our politics should go beyond the kingdoms. We should put our politics at the center of the core issues that are affecting each and every Ugandan. So let's talk about, look at all the referral hospitals in Uganda Kingdom.
So he like,
they are not drugs. So why can't the Kabaka talk about this? Now, let me first talk about also this issue. You see, in 2009, these two had become enemies. Because that's the time when we had the Bugere issue, the Banyala Buganda issue. So Kabaka was going to Bugere to meet his people, and the government said no. We had a crisis, just like the one we had in 1966 with Obote 1. Museveni tried to call the Kabaka, if you remember the history that very well, in 2009. The Kabaka refused to receive his calls because they had become enemies. Yet these were two great friends. Their friendship began even before they went to Kabamba to win their liberation struggle. And now you see this guy is carrying himself to meet the Kabaka because he knows in 2021 he wants the support from the kingdom or the endorsement from the kingdom of Uganda. And he knows very well, because for him, he thinks that the kingdom is now trying to back up Bobby Wine or Kyagulanyi Ssentamu for 2021. Now it's pressure that has gone to this government. And it's panicking.
But Hillary,
out of the panic, now they are giving empty promises.
Let's hear what Hillary, he has to say.
The Buganda kingdom has FDC, People Power, NRM, UPC. So I really think the kingdom should not be dragged into the politics, because me, God forbid, I'll never be NRM, but maybe I'm NRM and I belong to the Buganda kingdom. So should I leave
the kingdom
kingdom because I'm NRM?
Maybe
I want to think the kingdom.
I don't want you to misquote me, because that's why I told you. That's why I told let our politics go beyond the kingdoms. Because I told you that now the dynamics have changed. People no longer believe in what the kingdom says.
Whatever the money is, whatever all this money, the 23
as I told you, that the kingdom is comprised of different tribes. It's comprised of different political affiliations, of different political ideologies. So we believe that. But again, we are tired of this cheap popularity of using taxpayers' money each and every time to think for your political gains. Let's go beyond this issue.
So the Kabaka should have told Museveni, don't come.
No, one. You see, ask yourself a question. Ask yourself a question. If they were making their meetings public each and every time and giving us agendas, why not this time? Ask yourself that question. What were they hiding? Because if they were going to the State House in the past events and they were informing the public, yes, they're going to meet, why not now? So if they wanted to have a private meeting, why they go with the media? They would have met like in their private meetings, and we wouldn't know, because we know beyond doubt, that these two have been meeting even in private meetings.
Even if they're meeting, I want to call this.
Those things happen, before maybe President Trump and maybe May from England go to the media, they've met in private.
I think it's standard procedure that because you should know by the time
it's standard procedure. But so
I want to ask you this.
Look at this issue. The kingdom had a project called Tafari, right? Is it Tafari? Yeah, they were building one of the buildings in the palace. And they were coming to these people who are living in extreme poverty, getting the little money they have. And yet the kingdom knows very well that our people are suffering. Our people are living in extreme poverty. And we have taken each and everything they have from them. Our people,
putting that aside,
so the kingdom has prioritized also the needs, the wants.
This was a meeting,
Hillary, people.
This was a meeting that took place, 2 days ago? 3 days ago?
3 days.
Right.
What's on the agenda for when all these resources are returned back to the kingdom? Do you know of what is to be made of these resources? Do we know if they're going to cater to any of our hospitals going to be built, or our schools going to be built, or is the king of the Kabaka just going to sit on all this money? Or do we know? Do we have an agenda? We can't really call you up on that.
If you look at the Land Commission of Judge Abam Gemelere, you saw one of the prince was there also claiming, fighting for the vast piece of lands they have in Imbuya and so on, because they were saying that ISO is building on their land and so on. But again, you see, for them, they are fighting for their land. But again, as I've told you, there are very many land grabbing cases in Uganda. And right now we know that the head of Uganda kingdom is the Kabaka, is the king. But he's silent about the issues of land grabbing. Because right now we know very well that land is the most precious asset
on each and every public occasion
in our country.
The Kabaka has come out to talk about land. You see, we are in Uganda. Uganda is being run by the central government, the constitution and all the acts. So, literally, the kingdom has limited powers to enforce some of the things. But has the kingdom done something? They have Mutesa Royal. It's a university, affordable. Mutesa Royal, a student can have a bachelor's degree for about 600 Ugandan
free of charge, or they're paying for it?
It's affordable. I mean, it's very hard to find free education at that level, at the university level, but it's affordable. So the kingdom is really trying to do something.
But my comrade, just be specific. If you say affordable, on average, how much is the cheapest course on average?
You see, when we talk about an institution like Makerere that has the cheapest course at 1 million Yugi shillings, the cheapest course, Mutesa Royal has a course for 600,000, 500,000 Yugi shillings at the university level. But as the degrees might not be the same.
Look at Busoga University in Jinja. Look at Busitema University. How much are they paying?
Busitema is a public institution.
Yeah, but how much are they paying? Because when you say the cost of tuition is affordable, then you have to know also how much is being paid in other learning institutions.
You see,
then I'll tell you that the cost is not affordable.
To stick to the point,
I've told you.
To stick to the point,
Ugandans are living in extreme poverty.
To stick to the point, the kingdom is trying to serve its people. I'm not saying they are doing their best, but they are really trying. But me, where I disagree with you, is to drag the kingdom into the politics.
We do have someone saying here, I want to read this out. Barbara Hazel is saying Buganda also involves and rotates around politics. Then Andy is saying Buganda are Mengo puppets for real. And then we also have a serious question which I do want you to answer. We do have Frey Iwari saying, why did Kabaka host Museveni outside the house and not in his house? That is normally done to people you don't take to be important. I mean, I don't know the basis of this statement, so I want to just push that out there and see if you guys have any valid...
I want to think we cannot guarantee that Museveni did not get into the house of the Kabaka.
Before.
I mean, we can have a media briefing in the compound, but when we had our meeting privately in the house.
That's true.
I think also they can have a meeting anywhere they want, maybe outside the house. Or
but I think it's all about
yes,
PR. But again,
also the Uganda Kingdom should stop this politics of playing like hide and seek, because Ugandans are tired and sick of such politics.
So you're saying,
and again, you see, now you see, for the kingdom, listen, now look at this
anything
issue.
That this is land, and we will come back to this topic another day.
For the kingdom, like last year, they had refused the Katikiro or the Prime Minister of Uganda to go to Kochi to talk to their people, because Museveni also imposed there another king called Kamuswaga. So they know that now once Katikiro goes to the land of Kamuswaga, then they're going to be conflicts, just like the way we had with the issue of Sabanyala in Bugerere, and also with Katikiro Walusimbi, who was going to Bugerere. So these are the issues that Museveni is trying to play around. And again, the kingdom should be very wise to foresee that Museveni is playing very cheap politics, very manipulative politics, and they should, go beyond that. And
you're suggesting that the Katikiro or the Kabaka should come up and tell people, let's fight the regime.
No, don't misquote. No.
As I said,
I don't want to be misquoted, because you see, the kingdom can come out and talks about key issues that are oppressing Ugandans.
They do.
The human rights issues.
They do.
When was the last time?
They do. 2 weeks ago, Katikiro had Luchiko in Mengo. Katikiro talked about almost
so
everything.
let's talk about one example. One famous musician, Bobby Wine, was being oppressed. And this is a guy who has sacrificed a lot of his time, a lot of resources to the kingdom to fight for it, to speak for it.
Katikiro came up with a statement about
when was that? After how long? After the public coming out and criticizing the kingdom. That's when they came out with statements. And statements are not alone. Yes, that's when they came out.
You see, the kingdom
this is going to be, I'm going to pull you back, both of you, because this is a day, this is, not today, not today. So I think it's a big issue right now. That's going to have so many intricacies.
It's a big issue, and the kingdom should.
Let me conclude on one thing. England, the United Kingdom, they have their kingdom and they have their politics.
No, you see,
the Queen will never comment about the
political
politics.
structures of United Kingdom are different from the political structures of Uganda.
True. But
so you can't say that the monarchy of Queen Elizabeth is going to be compared to
the monarchy of Buganda will never comment about politics. More so the Katikiro and the Kabaka should never do that.
All right. So just to continue, gentlemen, just to continue in the light of things, this is getting to be a heated conversation, and I think that two of you need to come back with Sarah Bakanasa so that she can really grab you together and just... All right, so for everyone tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in and watching the page. I see so many people commenting and loving on us. Thank you so much. As I said, this is a political show that's just there to inform, talk to you guys, interact with you, as well as highlight all these things that you might not have known about, or maybe you do know, but you need a little clarification. If we have said anything on the show that does not fall into, the facts that are out there floating around in the world, please feel free to, highlight us. If you're more smarter than these gentlemen who are here, or maybe you have a little more data on what they're saying, please share with us. If we've said anything in wrong or anything like that, please let us know so that we can all be educated together at the same time. Now, I want to handle another topic that did happen this week. It's been making a lot of noise. We've been hearing about it. And in this day and age, we shouldn't be having something of this sort. But I want to have it, talked about. I want to hear what you guys are thinking, what you guys want to comment about what happened in the recent few days in Uganda. So we did have our Minister of Tourism, Mr. Chiwanda, come out and, you know, bring a new proposal to ground where we are going to use curvy women, me included, curvy women to attract tourists to the country. I don't know whether this was talked about you know, fully talked about, and, you know, whether they weighed their pros and cons. I really don't know what happened here. I don't know who gave him the advice, who pushed forward with this event. I think that whole committee was just a bunch of men who sat there around, you know, drinking beer in the evening, and they came up with this proposal, and they thought it was such a good idea. So, given that we have gentlemen seated in the studio with me today, I'm gonna, you know, hear their take on what happened and see what they have to say, and then, you know, let's hear from you guys as well. Gentlemen, what is happening? This, in the day and age where, you know, social media, everything happens on social media, when you know that this is, with the whole Me Too campaign that just happened a few months ago, it's still fresh in our minds, and the whole feminist regime that's, you know, wave that's taking over the whole country, the whole continent. The MP should have known better. This is something that really, really doesn't look good on the books of Uganda. I mean, we keep deteriorating. How did this get passed along and actually become something that was put on social media and put on every platform out there? What happened in the last few days in regards to the whole curvy women attracting tourists?
Me, I just have very few words on that. I don't know if Minister Kiranda has a wife. I mean, does he want his wife to go into those things before he promotes it? Does he want his daughters to go into such things? That's, I mean, we are talking about Africa, Uganda. That's immorality. That gentleman must have a problem. I must conclude that way.
Hilary, let's hear what your thoughts are on the matter.
Yes, I've seen lots of activists coming out to criticize the minister for his sexist diction about the project of promoting our tourism sector in Uganda. They could be having, you know, a point of view that could be right.
There's not, which point of view is right?
And now, because you see, if you Google about this name called Sarah Batman, she was a South African lady who had, you know, a curvy body. And it so happened that they took her to Ireland, and again from there
she was taken to a slave. She was a slave taken over.
And then she was taken to Paris in France, and she was put in museums. You know,
she was reviewed as a freak because she had an oversized behind.
Because of you know, yes, her size that was plus, and you know. Lots of people made research and studies about it. They criticized the government, like, you know, the French government, and you know, when she died, actually, they had to put her in a museum. And when Nelson Mandela made, you know, a lot of noise about it, her body, you know, body parts were, you know, repatriated to South Africa, and she was laid in peace. That, you know, being said in this month where we're celebrating the Black History Month, and you hear about these people who fought for civil rights in this country, like the likes of, just look at ladies like Harriet Tubman, who was the railway conductor that helped very many slaves to escape from the slave masters. And also, when you talk about a lady like Rosa Parks, who refused to give up her seat in the bus, and you know, it opened up people's minds that they had to fight and, you know, achieve, you know, their achieve the, you know, rights of black people in this country. It raises eyebrows to the diction or the sentiments or statement that was given by the Minister of Tourism, Honorable Chiwanda. That's in the perspective of, you know, activists. And then again, as a Ugandan, I believe that tourism is a major sector that contributes a lot to our GDP each and every year. It's the main contributor on our GDP. You see that we need to do very many projects to ensure that we boost our tourism sector, because for many years we've had ministers who have been non-creative. But you see, Honorable Chwanda
I think he's too creative for his own good.
No, Honorable Chwanda is one of the most patriotic ministers we have today in this government of President Museveni. That guy, if you've been very observant, he's always putting on our flags wherever he's going. His shirt has black, yellow, red. The colors of our national flag.
I get where
now,
that.
I'm coming to your point. I'm coming to your point. Now,
you cannot be putting on the flag of the country and then
look
you
at this
still
thing. Look at this thing.
This is damaging to the country
Patriotism
itself.
is
His diction was, he was talking about, you see, today I can give a speech and we interpret it in a different way. In fact, one of the persons was saying that if you read a book,
you are saying that
and you are saying
that his diction, he might have said something wrong. This is what I'm hearing you say, that his diction, which is his phrase of words, must have been wrong.
Yeah, I'm just giving different perspectives. Now, look at this issue, because he was talking about our cultures. We should wear the pride of our African identity. As Ugandans,
he couldn't bring up other men to do the cavemen.
You're talking about the culture. So, you see, while I was at Mweri, I used to dance the Chiganda dance, the Masoga dance, the Western dance.
Mweri is an all-boys school, correct?
Lunyere, yes, boys school, Mweri. Then also the Rakaraka dance of our brothers, the Cholis. So you see, all those dances, if you were a dancer, you're going to know that each type of dance has a different meaning, has a story attached to it. No, here, this is what the minister was talking about, because people are misquoting the minister. Because people of course, will get different narratives. And by the way, because I was watching, before I went to bed last night, I was watching a certain program on NBS, and they were saying that it's Daily Monitor that, wrote a fake story. So we have to blame Daily Monitor to make Ugandans go berserk like that about the diction.
So you're saying he did not, the whole, why is the,
now you see,
Hillary, there's a whole competition, there's a whole competition.
Now you see, we've had lots of pageants that have been, held in our country by different minority groups. We have pageants of the LGBTQI community that are being held in our country. We have also pageants of, the albinos, or people, Ugandans call them albinos. You've seen them. So there is a story. They are trying to fight stigma within the community. No, I'm coming to that point. So they are fighting stigma. And then again, you've seen also, we have had pageants of the most ugliest Ugandans. They call it Sebavi. But Ugandans have not been complaining about such.
No.
Then we've had, yes, I'm coming to that. Then we've had also pageants of persons living with HIV/AIDS.
So at the end of the day, Hillary,
they are trying to fight stigma. Now we've had also pageants that have slim girls, right? Now we have put a pageant that calls upon also women with plus bodies, and now the public is fighting them.
Because
this is actually for me I support this pageant because one, it's about empowering women.
No,
regardless of their sizes.
Let me read a comment to you. Let me read a comment to you. Barbara Hazel saying, let me read a comment to you, because I think you're defending what you're speaking as a real gentleman. The minister is just promoting sex tourism because why would you say we are? The Kavi women are not a part of the attraction. They're not part of your attraction.
You see, people.
He's speaking as a man, not as a gentleman.
By the way, I'm a human rights activist. I promote women's rights. I fight for women's rights, and I respect women.
But you still say this is the right way to do
now,
things?
this thing is, see, people are feeling now.
You see,
hold on. Let me first make my statement very clear before you come in. I'm coming.
You've been coming for a reason. You've been talking about your point for a reason.
Now you see. This pageant, yes, I'm going to give you an opportunity. This pageant was announced on different TV stations and radio stations, and the minister called upon all those people who are willing to participate in this pageant. Where were those activists to come and stop the minister from going ahead with this mission, with this project? They were nowhere to be seen. And again, you see this hypocrisy of activists. You see, we had I don't know if she's still working on WBS. There was a lady who had a plus size body, and people used to criticize her because of her size. And when she did each and everything possible to become thinner, now people started praising her. You see the stigma that we are trying to fight in our communities. They think that when you have a plus body, you are not healthy, you are not a human being. And we are trying to fight such stigma. And also, the minister is saying that we shouldn't use. I'm coming back.
Should Uganda use those women as tourist attractions?
No.
That's what the minister is trying to do.
Show me any audio or any written thing by the statement by the minister saying that we are going to put these women in a cage.
No. He did not say he's going to put them in a cage. The fact that he's in it's as you said, it's diction. It's how you phrase things. Because in this day and age, you really have to be careful of what you say. The way he indicated this was, we're going to attract more tourists with the whole Kavi. Our women are too what? Kavi.
No, exactly.
Literally, you're attracting tourists, giving them the women that we have. You're offering them the women that in the country.
Exactly.
Any way you phrase it, this is not a good. Any way you want to phrase it, it's not a good thing. Hillary.
Let me add on what. I see your point. So the minister said.
So Hillary, we're giving you time. No. We're giving you time to speak. So let's give him a chance.
You're saying a minister is a patriot. He's trying to promote tourism. I might agree. The tourism sector of Uganda needs thorough investment, because if we boost that tourism, definitely the tourism sector, definitely the economy will do very good.
Yep.
But is that the only path to promotion of our tourism sector? I mean, Kenya's tourism sector, you'll watch CNN International, and you'll see Kenya on CNN International running commercials.
True.
Uganda has never run any commercial on CNN International. Let's talk about BBC International. So the minister has time and perhaps is ready to invest resources in selling our women at the expense of doing things like running commercials to promote our natural resources we have.
Let me ask this. Anita Fabiola got replaced as the ambassador to promote tourism. Got replaced our queen, our recently elected queen, Miss World, Abenacho. So Abenacho hasn't even served less than 6 months. If that is, she hasn't even, she has literally just been elected in all competitions. How is her time so short? Short, and then you bring in another Fabiola.
Yes.
We don't even have a male ambassador. Who is the male ambassador for tourism? Because I think we are literally focusing on beautiful women. First it was Zari, now it was.
As I said earlier, if the minister is married, the wife must be too insecure.
Guys,
the wife to the minister must be too insecure if he is married.
Let's be clear here. Each and every Ugandan is beautiful. So we can't say that the minister is using only beautiful women. That's wrong.
True.
So whoever the minister lands on is beautiful.
True.
And even the minister, I had the minister last night. I think it was today, maybe if I'm looking at time zones. The minister was saying that even today he's going to use some guys, because he said he's going to bring Jose Chameleon on board, and also is going with the comedian called Salvador. So they're also going to engage in his projects of promoting our tourism sector to the world. And again, let's be open about this thing and support our minister because you see,
you see, Hillary, there is supporting.
He said like the culture.
Country, like every country.
Listen, no, hold on. This is imperative because it was his word.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Okay.
Like any country that's out there, and given that you know the trend that's happening all over the world, there are topics that are very sensitive, and you yourself, if you want to promote a country or you want to promote an organization, you want to promote your own company, there are phrases and lines and things that you have to be careful about because one, you're going to get sued. Two, you're going to have activists. Case and point ours right now. You're going to have all these sort of things happening out of nowhere that you didn't plan for. So I'm all for him trying to promote Uganda.
Let me just say something. The minister said today.
You should be mindful
when I watched this program, I just wanted to like precisely, but again, the media was saying
Museveni is a very smart man. Instead of us discussing change, let him use his minister to come up with bogus things, and now we are spending about an hour. And it's happening even in Uganda. Media houses are discussing Minister Tiran and his bullshit.
So Museveni is the one to blame for tourism?
No, it's a tactic of Museveni to divert us from our focus on change.
So
let me say something also on this.
Yes, you see, Tiranda, he told him to come up with something that can divert the media into some nonsense conversation.
We've seen lots of those.
Let me read because it's such a sensitive topic.
But you're not giving me.
We cannot handle this topic. We cannot handle this topic with only two gentlemen. So it has to be balanced in some way. So next time we do have our very own Senga is online. Frida Sevalu. We are going to have this. We're going to come back to this conversation because it's such a sensitive topic.
I agree.
It's such a sensitive topic because I cannot be partial to it. I can't take my own side and then take yours.
Let me tell you something.
Hillary, we're going to come back to it. We're going to come back to it another time because
I missed out this. It was very imperative. My host Alex, because I was telling you that we've seen double standards. Because when these women activists come out today and they're making noise over such a
they never get any platform. They're not even given enough airplay.
No, because one. Today, personally, I heard the minister apologizing for the diction he used because he said that if there are those who are offended by my diction, then I'm sorry about it. Because it was on NBS, it's on record, he was apologizing. I think he was on this radio talk show hosted by Joseph Sabiti. So he apologized about his diction. So let's forgive him about it and move forward with this project. But otherwise, if we keep fighting this project, then we are demeaning the plus women of our country.
Okay,
and again, also these activists who are making noise over these such issues, we don't see them when we had the women being murdered in Entebbe. These women activists were there. Let me first protect me also. I'm coming. Now, I didn't see them, criticizing in numbers, because that's important in numbers, in big numbers.
Even match
in big. I'm also coming to that. Now, Dr. Stella Nyanzi also organized
again.
It's coming. It's about. I'm showing you the double standards. Now I'm showing you that Dr. Stella Nyanzi organized a 1 million march of the rights of women in Kampala. We didn't see even about 5,000 women coming on the streets. Why? These activists were comfortable in their homes. They were keeping silent about this.
We don't know that.
No, this is the fact. We saw the numbers on TV. Now, Dr. Stella Nyanzi again came up with a project. Let's also fundraise money for sanitary pads of our girls in schools. These activists who are who are fighting for feminism or female rights, they were nowhere to be seen. And today they are coming out to make noise over a minor issue.
Of course, because it will be a minor issue to
yes,
you.
But let me tell you. Alex, let me tell you. Indeed. Our girls in primary schools, our girls in secondary schools, they need hygienic products. So if women can't come on the front line to fundraise, then it's so bad. We should work
Museveni is a very smart man, and our discussing that.
We shouldn't blame the president on this.
We are not
for this one. I'm supporting the minister 100%.
Of course you would. Of course you would, because we expected somebody on this on a ballot of two gentlemen. We expected somebody to take Honorable Chwanda's side.
Yes,
somebody to be a man and
I blame the diction, but I support the project.
The diction walked into his mouth and said, "Let's."
But he apologized, and personally, I forgave him.
course you're going to forgive him. Why
Yeah,
was
man, what do you know?
Automatically you're going to forgive him. There's no problem. Anyone who saw the picture, there were pictures online that were posted of Anita Fabiola climbing up a tree, and there's
No, that's about the Photoshop.
you cannot Photoshop that same gentleman who was there.
No, that's for actually the minister has talked about it, about the program I was talking about. The minister talked about that photo. It was the Photoshop. Again,
we're going to bring our resident singer next week, and she's going to handle this specific topic because it's such a big issue. And again, as I said, minding that the wave, the general wave in all other countries is the Me Too movement regarding women. It's also about feminism, and then, you know, women being respected in our workplace, women being, it's such a big sensitive issue that we're going to handle this another time.
I agree.
Before we conclude the show,
I don't agree anyone who objectifies women. That's wrong. We should respect women's rights all the time.
Of course, you have to conclude after you have said. And then again, I don't want to also start this on the show where we're always blaming Museveni for every individual's decisions. So I'm also going to tackle that another time. I don't think Museveni influenced Mr. Chiwanda in any way. I don't think Museveni had to influence anything that has happened. So
he did. My
we're going to give
Museveni is a very cunning man. Museveni will make sure media does not cover Bobby Wine, does not cover Besigye.
All right. So right now, before we conclude, I want to just issue out this invite to our resident singer again, Frida Sevalu. She will be here to handle such a sensitive issue. And given that the fact that it's going to be Valentine's Day in the next few days, it's going to be a very, very sensitive issue, very fun, very engaging. So you guys should tune in next weekend. Let's make sure you see that. For today, before we conclude, I want to just handle one small topic, not a small topic, but we're going to talk about one topic before we conclude the show. And that is the appointment of Mr. Muhoozi. What's his stature right now? I don't want to butcher him or say anything right now.
The first
son of Museveni, or President Museveni, was
the country. Is now a lieutenant general.
Lieutenant General. We want to talk about that promotion, and is he in line to succeed the president, and is that the way the regime is going? We want to first understand what the different intricacies of this whole thing is. Is it going to be like the other countries where, you know, they leave their son to succeed them in rule, or are we seeing somebody, you know, some parties coming up to support him as a potential president figure in the next few years to come? I want to just I want to understand what the dynamics are in regards to his promotion. Does he deserve it, or is it something that he's going to have to just walk me through? I'm going to start with Imran, and then we'll end up with Hillary to conclude the show.
Yeah, I think 2 years ago, Muhoozi was the chief commander of SFC, the Special Forces Command. That's the force that is in charge of the president's security. And then the tactical Museveni had to make his son to leave that position to prepare him for what he announced yesterday. So yesterday he promoted him to Lieutenant General. So in the army, the highest rank is, in Uganda we only have Idi Amin, who was the Field Marshal. So from Field Marshal, then General, and then Lieutenant General. So now Muhoozi is a Lieutenant General. But that's all the Muhoozi project. I'm sorry to say, it was a very good topic, the one we had earlier. But Museveni knew, since I'm yet to promote my son, Tiranda, go and first divert media into that as the Muhoozi project moves. So, and the Muhoozi project this week registered 2 achievements. His promotion as a Lieutenant General, and now I'm sorry to say, our stupid MPs, the NRM MPs, are like, okay, we are going to Campfire to see if we can play with this constitution, and we do it in a way that maybe we go into a parliamentary system whereby the president, somebody to become president, you must have the majority members of parliament, just the way it is in South Africa and maybe England. So, and the constitution will indeed be amended. In 2016, Amama Mbabazi versus the Republic of Uganda, the Supreme Court ruled that the constitution should be amended. Election reforms should be enacted. So apparently the Speaker of Parliament, Kadaga, was putting the government on pressure to come up with those amendments. And for 2 years, I mean, the government has been in office for 2 years. I mean, the new government for 2 years. The Honorable Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Otafile, had never come up with any reforms. So he's asking Parliament to give him more time so that they can draft very well that proposal to prepare Muhoozi as
For successorship.
exactly, whereby I told somebody, if the People Power Movement, FDC, so I'm talking about BCJ, Bobby Wine, if they are not careful, and to my dear brother Bobby Wine, he might not appear anywhere on the ballot paper in 2021. If
Hillary died way is, but Hillary, your time.
I disagree.
Let's make this clear that
Yes.
people power is not
it's not a political
power.
party.
Yes, it's a movement. Yes,
And the proposed amendment is going to come saying that for you to become president, your political party must have the majority in parliament. So literally, the ordinary Ugandan will not have any ballot or any say for at the level of president, whereby all you have to do is cast your ballot for the MP, and that MP will represent your vote. It's happening it's something that happens in South Africa, and of course with them a referendum was enacted and the people agreed to go that way. It is happening in England. So Museveni will leave office as Moses
so
coming,
South Africa,
because
the incumbent is from ANC.
Definitely.
So do you say
they have the majority in the house.
the house.
So do
If
it's not the house that voted. It's not the house that voted in South Africa. It's the
true.
people.
The people
voted.
vote. The people vote, but they don't vote for. They don't vote for a candidate. If Malema was to go on a ballot paper in South Africa, a popular ballot paper, Malema could be president of South Africa.
Yeah, Malema is from
I'm
EFF.
sure
So EFF is not having the majority.
And
So
that's the
this is a
system.
contradiction to your statement.
That's the system they are bringing in Uganda. The party that has the majority takes over
but
the state
the
house.
Just like it
majority.
is here that the party that has the most Senate, the most number of people in Senate, or the most people on the is the ruling party, right? Just like the Republicans. And is that the same concept?
Not really. No.
Of the house?
No, not. That concept basically it's popular in South Africa and England, whereby you have the majority in the house, your party is in charge.
Party, yeah.
So it's not about, because here, like Obama, the last term of Obama, the Republicans were in charge of the Congress and Senate, but the Democrats had the White House. But in Uganda, what they are taking in Uganda is you have the majority in parliament, you have the state house. So Muhoozi has a direct path to state house through the NRM MPs.
I'm going to ask this to Hillary. What does it take?
Can I comment first?
I want you to just follow my train of thought, and then you can give your conclusion.
Right.
I'm curious about how the way promotion happens in the military, because I know we all don't know about it. But if we have any clue, and I think our producer does have some clue about the military ranking and everything, how do you get from being sergeant, all that kind of promotion, all those things that the son has had to go through, and then you go right to the promotion? If it hadn't been like he's the first son of the president of the country, if it had been any other individual, what do you have to do in order to be promoted to lieutenant general?
Yes, I think it's all about.
You have to involve yourself in war winning,
experience and merit. Those are the two key things that should guide any promotion in the army.
Yeah,
but again, what President Museveni is doing today is not surprising, because we've seen such events. If you look at Obote 1, 1966 to 1971, you saw that also Obote was promoting people. Actually, what you have to know about these promotions, they are beyond Muhoozi. Because if you are to look at it in a broader perspective, you're going to see that these promotions are regional based. And this is the trend that we've had since 1966 with Obote 1. That during Obote 1 and Obote 2, he had also promotions from one region. That's when you had the Tito Okello tours, you see. And also when it came to 71, 79 under Idi Amin Dada, you could see that he was also looking at, regional promotions in his army. So he was looking at the Nubians, okay? So when it comes to 1986 to today, you're seeing that also President Museveni is doing what we call the regional promotion in his army, which is not surprising to Ugandans because we know this president has not promoted Ugandans equally by merit, which is wrong, and we call out the president because whatever he's doing is wrong. And now look at today as he promotes his son to Lieutenant General. The military has just celebrated 38 years since fighting, because it's 5 years while they were fighting in the bush from 1981 to 1985. Then 33 years since NRM took over. But what kind of legacy do we see in our military today? Is it productive or not? Because the president recently was heard saying that we should give land to our army to ensure that they do productive work, just like any other armies. Because today our army is so, dormant. They're doing nothing. I don't know if sometime back you heard the comments of Julius Malema when he was complaining about the army of South Africa. He was saying that for many years he has never seen the army of South Africa fighting any war. Yet they are wasting taxpayers' money on their army. So he was like, why can't we at least put at least like a civil war to make our army busy or active? Well, I think it was sarcastic. But again, this army, people are living in fear.
I want you to answer a few things.
I'm coming to this thing. People are living in fear with the current regime's army, because the army of today in our country is pro the government. It's not pro people, which is wrong. The government of President Museveni is using our national army to settle political disputes. This is a danger.
Sure.
And we are going to be worried as a nation. Because today, you remember what happened in Kasese when they attacked King Mumberi's palace.
Oh, yes.
Museveni used his army to murder Ugandans, to massacre Ugandans, if I can say. This is too bad. We are worried.
Sure.
Today, if you find, they're telling us the army has taken over the role of the police. The police is working during daytime. The army works at night.
At night.
We are worried.
Even
where are we going as a
day,
nation?
Even in the day, the army works.
Exactly.
So
but this army has fought. It has helped to bring some stability in our region. Now, like in Somalia, Mogadishu, they've helped to contain the spread of terrorism in that country. And again, if you go to Central African Republic, they're doing a great job. Go to DRC Congo, they're doing a great job.
South Sudan.
Or Burundi or Rwanda, because they fought the government of Habyarimana during the genocide. And, Paul Kagame came into power. They're doing a great job. But again, our army is being manipulated. We've fought wars and we've gained nothing. You will never see any army of these international countries like USA. If they go to fight any war, they gain from that war. But for us, we are fighting for nothing. For many years, we've fought in Somalia. We've earned nothing. When US goes to Afghanistan to fight, they go with with interests. They don't come back with nothing. They either get oil or they take their businessmen to build, to take merchandise and they sell it there. But for us, we are gaining nothing. Kenyans have been able to study this trend very well, because they fought also, they helped the Rwandese to fight, and then they've put businesses in Rwanda, supermarkets and so on. But for us, we've put nothing in Rwanda. Kenya is so smart. We went to Congo, we only just stole gold. And right now they're demanding us 10 billion. They're demanding us 10 billion US dollars. Where are we going to get that money from? we have 11 trillions in debt. Congo is demanding us 10 billion US dollars. We gained nothing. It's the Kahindo Tafiles who stole the gold. When they asked Kahindo Tafile about the stealing of gold from Congo,
so let me ask
he said that this gold is not yours. Did we steal your father's gold? So as a nation, we need a president who has to strategize our army. So and they do something. So now look at how China is eating up our country today. Because today, trust me, our army should be the one to build the Bujagali dam project in Jinja. Just like the way you see the US army here. In the US, they build bridges. Now Trump is planning that the army should build the wall at the southern border.
No wall.
Our army is dormant. These are the projects that are going to sustain our army because they're earning peanuts. If you look at the way they are sleeping, they are very terrible conditions. But such projects are going to enable our army to become very powerful. So let the Chinese start giving projects to our army. They have the manpower. They can build roads. They can construct roads. They can build bridges. They can provide because we have engineers in the army. So back to the point of Mohoz. Of course, for many years, Ugandans have known about this project, Mohoz project. We know the president is grooming his son to succeed him. And this is called a failed mission.
This is what I want.
There is no way.
Listen, this is what I want to. There's a question that has been posed online, and I want I want the two of you to answer it because we've run out of time. And this is something I want you to say if it's false or true, or give your input in like less than 1 minute so that we can go through. Before we finish, I want to just recognize a few questions that were posed in. I do have Ellen Prezo saying, Lieutenant General Mohozi has every right, like any Ugandan in the army, to be promoted as long as he ticks all the boxes of promotion. Absolutely. Even if Mohozi became a four-star general, that will not give him a clear path to succeed his father. Museveni is very wise to take that line. And then he continues to say that this was something that you were saying earlier about the electoral permission. He said, inform your guests that the law to change the electoral system does not only end in parliament, but it requires a referendum. And it requires 85% of the entire constitution to be changed. The whole electoral system has to change. It's not as easy as people say it. And then you do have a few people saying Museveni should resign. Barbara Hazel is saying Museveni is like my army, my oil, my country. Good for you. And then this is a question I want us to handle in less than one. I'm giving each of you 1 minute before we have to go off because we've taken a lot of time. We do have Frey Iwari saying they are planning a military coup. The son has to overthrow the father, knowing he can't. The son can't overthrow the father, knowing he can't win by election. So by promoting him with ranks, that military has to respect him when he starts to command. So what's your say on the matter? I'm giving you each 1 minute, and then we can close the show.
You see. With promotions,
Hillary, 1 minute.
We are 100%, supporting the president to promote each and every one, as long as it's on merit. Because we've seen for many years our brothers and sisters, or mothers and fathers, being, in our national army, and they're not being promoted as fast as the rate of Mohozi's promotions. So as Ugandans who use common sense, we have to raise eyebrows about such issues, because we've seen such events during the era of Idi Amin Dada. So those promoting his relatives, his son, also promoted his son as fast as the way Museveni is promoting his son. So these things, they just need common sense to see that something is wrong here, and we don't, we don't need to sugarcoat anything about this. So we call up the president on his policy of, promoting people. Now ask yourself about people like Nareiso, Brigadier Nareiso. She has just become Lieutenant General, but for how many years has she been in the army? And look at her age. Look at the age of Mohoz, because this lady has been in the army for years and years. But she has just become a Lieutenant General, and you think there's nothing wrong about it. So people should use common sense about these things to know that there's something wrong with this government of Mr. Museveni.
Something is.
And again, my brother was talking about making reforms in the parliament to ensure that Mohoz just gets things on a silver plate. I can tell him that such reforms, I think there are people who have sat in their silos and they came up with virtual reforms, and they think they will pass in our parliament, but there is no way we're going to have a parliament that elects a president. It's going to be on record that it's Ugandans who are going to elect a president for years and years. No one is going to change this, because that's how our democracy works, and nobody's going to change that. If the president thinks that he wants to bring that in parliament, trust me, people are going to rise up and they will fight against such reforms that will be tabled in parliament. And trust me, the bill won't be even passed, won't be debated. People are going to rise up and they fight, and we're going to see the Arab Spring also coming to East Africa. This will be called the East African Spring, and by the end of the day, trust me or not, we shall get a new face. Probably it will be Bobby Wine or someone else, but not Mr. Museveni and not his son, trust me.
All right, so to conclude.
Yeah, as I conclude, one, Moses' promotion, if he's being promoted on merit, it's okay. I mean, if Bush becomes president, the son of Bush won, it's okay because of merit. If Hillary Clinton had become president because she was voted the wife to Bill Clinton, that's okay. So, but I agree with my brother, Moses' promotion is not really in good faith. It's okay, I mean, it's God's setting that he's the first son. But if
you shouldn't blame God for each and everything.
It's God's setting that Moses is the first son.
It's not God's setting.
God made Moses. God made Moses the first son. I mean, Moses was a son to Museveni, who is the president. So Moses is entitled to anything else like any Ugandan. So, but on merit.
And entitled to the privileges. If your father is president, you get those privileges. There's nothing to argue about that.
But,
continue.
But on merit. Now, to answer the question of one of our viewers about reforms, this one, the reforms that are coming, they are not being enacted from maybe a private member's bill or from the government, because that's how maybe bills can come up on the floor of parliament, private member or government. There we saw Rafael Mageze's bill of age limit. This amendment of the constitution of the electoral reforms, it is a court order, a Supreme Court order. The Republic of Uganda versus Amama Mbabazi in 2016, March. That was a ruling of the Supreme Court of Uganda by Justice Katurebe, the Chief Judge. So, at that level, Parliament is at liberty to do as they please. And my brother...
Yes, that's ruling. That's ruling code for recommendations.
As I conclude, my brother, let our memories not be too short. We recall what Parliament did in 2005. All of us were like, term limits can never be tampered with. Indeed, they did. They removed them. They are not. We don't have term limits anymore. 2017, just yesterday, age limit can never be tampered with. The man had to get SFC in Parliament. The article was removed and is now eligible to run in 2021. So, if you want to think that you have faith in our bogus Parliament, no. Me, as I conclude, the solution...
who is framing
Hillary,
the solution we as Ugandans have to do or to take is to use force to unseat Museveni. Museveni is a true son of apartheid. Apartheid was legal. Museveni knows how to use the books to make things that are immoral legal. Museveni is a true son of slavery in the United States. Slavery was legal. So he knows how he can use the constitution, the books, the laws to do immoral things.
All right.
If we don't use force, we don't have...
Thank you for everyone for watching. As I mentioned earlier, the opinions of the gentleman sitting besides me are not the opinions of the Campfire Talk Show. They're not the opinions of Uganda at Crossroads, and they're not the opinions of Campfire TV and the Life MTV Live. So just want to make that clear. As they are opinions that are vented out by frustrated youth and frustrated individuals and frustrated Ugandans. So you are free to take your advice where you want it. You're free to, pick up on what you like and take what you're supposed to take from whatever is being talked about here. I want to thank everyone who was tuning in, who was watching, sharing the page, loving on this page and loving on the show. Thank you so much for continuing to support us. Please take a minute to go to Live MTV Live and subscribe or follow the show, and also like, so that you get notifications of all our individual shows that keep airing on Live MTV Live. Also take a moment to go to the page Campfire, the Campfire Talk Show with Alex, to like and follow as well, and then we continue loving on us, telling us what you want us to what you want us to get better on. If there's any topic you want us to talk about, anything you're curious about, please don't forget to message us. We do see your messages in real time, instantly, and we'll take into account all the things that you want to talk about. We'll get somebody in here to talk about whatever you guys have in mind. I'm going to leave you with for today, and I hope that you guys will tune in next weekend for another session of Uganda Crossroads. I've been your host, Alex with the Mostest. Have a lovely day. Bye.